And we are live. Ladies, gentlemen, MBs, welcome for another episode of I Cast Sword from the Alpha Adventurers Network. We are gathered by another esteemed group of Apex Adventurers. But before that, we must go over some unfortunate incidents that's happened. Ever since we broadcast our first episode, there was sabotage. Sabotage, no doubt, by the Sword Coastal elites that do not want this broadcast to gain popularity, but we will persevere, and we have fixed any of these issues. I dare say, we shall persevere by the iron fangs of conquest. And I, of course, your host, Dr. Gorza. I'm the Wyvern of Barovia, the Night Tyrant of the Red Dawn. But we are not just here for me to tell all of my glorious tales. We have others that and tell us their stories of their adventures in Chult. It's been incredibly fascinating from these reports that I've had my interns work day and night. Even those with the threat of the lash. Again, let us start with our priestess of Umberlee, our oath breaker, Aaron. Tell us about yourself.
Well, Erin is a Triton that has swum a cursed life. Her settlement was destroyed in a storm for not showing the proper reference to Umberlee, the Queen of the Depths, and so she makes it her goal in life to make way for for Umberlee to retake and reclaim the surface, so that all may revel in her majesty. Joining her on this quest is Bernie, a juvenile phoenix that she uses as a paladin mount. Huzzah! For the glory of the Queen of the Depths.
Ah, very well. Very good indeed. And then we have our resident groveler extraordinaire, Captain Meepo.
Hi, I'm Captain Meepo. I also like jubilation, the thing that Umberlee's promising, because that sounds very good. And I like good things, which is why I joined the Waterdeep Watch as a captain. And I was given this badge, and I was told to go elsewhere because I was too good at my job. And they said I should wander the realm adventuring. So here I am, Captain Meepo, at your service.
Very good. Again, always appreciate company for those who know their place. And then we have Aquinas. Tell us about Aquinas. Oh, you're being unusually quiet at the moment. No matter, we'll get back to you in a second. But we have other Apex adventurers to introduce. We have a new one. This is I believe, Merrick Undergallows.
Undergallows is the name. I've been down in Chult for a while after those bastards from Dendar killed my little brother Garrett. Garrett Undergallows. Been on the lookout for him since, but I was traveling there, hunting them down. Unusual opposition from fire, ash, and ruin, all the way to the forgotten depths of ill intent, all over the place. I finally tracked those bastards down, and then I started getting these strange dreams of Dendar again. And I met up with this crew. And, it was who'd have thought a paladin of Timora would would have been traveling with a paladin of Umberlee, but it was strange times.
Strange times indeed, but also very important to, as I would call it, a cultural exchange. You know, coming from Timora, how better to bend the luck of those against their will? Of course, to yours and Umberly. You know, I don't even know what Timora. Yes, luck. So you can lucky enough to get more followers who will plunge their devotion to their final
and,
end.
and Timora is bountiful in the way she shares her luck. So I felt like luck was with us that day.
Ah, indeed. And then we have, I believe it's Micah or Mika.
Greetings. It is Mika. Mika was bitten by the travel bug when he was young, and has spent his time traveling hither and yon with various different adventurers groups, perhaps even with Quintus at one point through some dread encounters. But he has developed a rather interesting fascination with death and all things about it. So in his travels, he has discovered ways to help keep his party up and himself as well, because that is always a good thing. So no matter what we encounter, we will make sure that you return home safely.
Yes. And last but certainly not least, we have Minx.
The name is Mimics. Mimics the Mindless. Mindless before I entered the dungeon of the Mad Mage, and even crazier after I left. Surviving, slaying the so-called prolific wizard Hallister. With so many Eldritch Blasts, I don't even think anybody got the opportunity to attack him before he was dead. Since that time, I've been drinking in the tavern. Came across my ears an expedition in Chult, a new land that I have not claimed and destroyed. In a way, seek more adventure.
Ah, indeed. For in short, there are many things, like everywhere in the world, there are all kinds of things that can be destroyed, whether they consent to it or not. And Acquaintance, you are back with us. Tell us about yourself.
Ah, yes. Well, I have been to many places throughout the multiverse, as I have defended against threats far in the future and far in the past, across the vastness of all places. But it was this series of missions in Chult that somehow left me with visions. And as you were trying to speak to me moments ago, I was enraptured by one of those visions. It was hot and steamy, such as it is in Chult.
Ah, yes. From what I told, it is very steamy and damp. Sounds like for those, me and my armor, it'd be quite a lot of chafing, but as I understand it, this all started when you all had this dream. It was, for some of you, you were delivering a spell report to your fellow wizard apprentices in your small clothes. Some of you were reliving that moment you took another humanoid's life, or an entire group of them. Or you were enjoying a beverage in a pool filled with enticing tentacle elf companions. But your dream shifted abruptly. You found yourselves in a hell-blasted wasteland. Smog clogged the air. Stone hissed beneath your feet, and pools of lava bubbled. Around you are other figures. Clearly, they were adventurers about you because they have that look. For others, they have that smell or some other deformities and depravities. But, as I understand it, as you were all taking a moment to get to know each other, another figure appeared, this sort of amorphous entity of brilliant golden light that exuded a pitiful, gentle warmth. It hovered above, and in a voice that touches the heart more than the ear, It spoke. It said, "Do not fear me, for I am Larua, and I have contracted you from afar to warn you of a dire threat. A threat that can destroy all life as you all know it. And evil has taken root in the land of ash and smoke, and you were needed to stop it." So, Merrick Undergallows, tell me, with your insight, was there anything additionally interesting you could have told and you remember from this encounter from this Larua? Oh. Yeah, let me get that paper here.
There was something. It's tough to remember. It was all kind of a blur of events.
Yes. From what I read from these reports, it said that this seemingly amorphous ball of golden warming light seemed to have some kind of as I'm told, some kind of some warmth of genuine goodness came from this, and that whatever it said, you felt it was true, and that you were all doing a good deed. But
It's probably a trap. They're probably trying to trap us somehow, some way. Maybe we never really left the temple. Maybe we're still in. Maybe it's all a trap. Oh, Meepo doesn't know.
Oh, don't worry. Well, I do not. I think you left the Obsidian Sanctum, and then you jumped headlong from that into more danger, my friend. But yes, apparently this warm, honest light told you about a group of more Thayan wizards collecting fragments from the now destroyed Solamonger. And there was one expedition leader named Sem Naha. But honestly, in the end, why do they write their names? They always die horribly in the end. But anyways, this mage had some kind of opal amulet in his possession that was used to extract energy. I believe you all have one from your time in the Obsidian Sanctum. But apparently, this bowl of light told you about the fragment was causing corrupting effects at the flora and fauna, as well as any ambient magic. But apparently, the shard was in the land of smoke. There was a generic location that this Larua gave you to how to get there. And you were promised a great reward for stopping this menace and retrieving this opal pendant. Now, Captain Meepo, it says something. You made your way over there. Did anything interesting happen?
I don't know. I stubbed my toe. It hurt a lot. Like there was this rock on the path, and I banged it really hard, and I went, ow, 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 ow. And no one helped me. It really hurt.
Are you sure no one helped you? I thought we helped you.
Oh, right. Thank you.
It was a long time ago. I kind of forget.
Well, I would have said, of course, they would not have. You all apex adventurers. Well, if you cannot pick yourselves up by the bootstraps, then surely you would not have made it this far.
You know, my mother always looked at me and said, Meepo, how'd you make it this far? And I looked at my mother and I said, I don't know. And she looked at me and she told me how I'd wander out of the cobalt caves and some adventurers would come and attack me. But then I'd start crying and then they wouldn't bother hurting me, and then they'd leave me with treats. And then another group of adventurers came, and I started sobbing. And they felt bad for me, and they left me some sticks to play with. You know, I've actually solved a lot of my problems in life by just groveling and sobbing now that I think about it.
I have to say, Captain Meepo, you do have a way in how you grovel. It's infectious. Other people have other ways to describe it, but that is for another show. Uh, but to my knowledge, you were given directions toward this abandoned camp, or where this heavenly or good voice told you where to go again in this land of ash and smoke. Good, good, Aaron. Tell me how. It says that there was all kinds of extreme heat there. I don't know how that would have affected you.
Well, I'm glad that I have brought with me many canteens, and I was able to moisten my skin in this heat. But the fact that Bernie was with us, as Bernie is immune to the effects of exhaustive heat. I'm sure he was definitely the MVP when it came down to
Yes. And what I was told is, following the dream's message, you arrived you found this abandoned camp that looks like, from the looks of it, belonged to the Thayan wizards. And you came across, as to this report here, it says that as sweat stung your eyes and your throat burned as you traveled through this land of smoke and ash, you eventually arrived at an abandoned campsite that you were directed to. Before investigating further, there was a trio of fire newts that approached. Their leader's hands were raised. The leader pans closer. There were thick lines of pulsing black infection on their glowing orange skin, stretched from beneath their leathery raiment. Although their voice was rough as they spoke, it said, "I am Cisna, and I followed my dreams here. He followed the voice of Emix. A dark force grows here, and I will offer what I can to help you remove it from my people."
Yes, I remember. We did not like the ill look of their uh, contagion, but in this strange land that we are unfamiliar with, we took it and used them as tools with which to guide us closer to our quarry.
Yeah.
And Mika, of course, was happy to help investigate.
Excellent. And from what I was made aware of while you are in this abandoned camp, it spoke to you that the path the Red Wizards forged led through the Singing Springs and the Cinder Grove. That darkness had taken root in the distant home of their Fire King, a ruined pyramid that was used as a lair for an ancient red worm. And the darkness is infecting its land and killing or changing the creatures here. And some of this Cisna's people fell to the corruption, but they didn't have long to live. But wanted to at least tell you where you should start to go. When they said that the wizards were only about 8 or so hours away from retrieving this apparent darkness. But thankfully, the tomb was only 6 hours away on foot. Oh my
We
god.
made great haste towards it, seeking another opal pendant, I believe.
Ah, yes. And then, as I was told, as you were all making your way towards these singing springs altogether. Unfortunately, it sounded like this companion that you gained started to change. As I was told, it's as it tells in glorious detail about the horrible nature of it as it was changing around. It it, it twisted and changed into black. And it suddenly became a completely different creature altogether. As this creature came ready for a fight. As we are demonstrating on this board below us for us to see. As it looked like it was ready for combat.
I remember that Bernie seemed off to a slow start, but kind of got lucky at the start of combat.
Ooh, that's true. Not lucky enough. It's strange. After I started wielding wave, Bernie doesn't go in front of me very often anymore.
Uh, and then for Minonix, as I understand, you're having some difficulties trying to get everything on board. I know this token that I found depict the best that represented you. Are you? Do you need help getting it on this board?
Oh, no, I shall be fine.
Did we have a chance to cast spells before this?
Before this change, it was sudden. But
Okay.
I'm sure if there were any start of the day preparations, I'm sure being Apex adventurers, you could have will have easily have found prepped however you would normally prep.
Well, in that case, one thing that Mika does in the morning for the party is this. So everyone has water breathing, including familiars and or mounts.
Minix, what is your I guess this is your initiative? If you could describe it
Yeah.
in
Yeah, how
points
do
of
I
math.
drop and drag?
Ah, there we
That
go.
that was buggy.
Oh, there's something
You
that
can leave it at the
easily gets
6.
fixed.
The mindlessness makes me twitch a lot.
But Micah, as this chained, altered creature came towards you, what did you do?
I wanted to soften him up a little for the party, so I will try blasting some of that smugness off of his face. I believe that's 33 force, and that will be how I began.
Ah, very well. And it looks like they all hit.
I think that got his attention.
It did. But before then, there was a Twix.
So what I'm unable to figure out about the sheet is how to make it actually work on the character sheet. Now I see the initiative thing.
So it's left click on the token, and then on the gazer, you just click the gazer's name.
Yeah, sure, but I'm on Twix's character sheet and I'm like trying to do something. What do I need to drag to do it? Oh, I see. I need to touch Dazing Ray. Okay, all right. All right. So popping out of my cloak, you see like sort of I'd say like a cantaloupe. It's a basketball sized little ugly green yellow thing with a bunch of stalks on the top of its head. And one of the rays begins to aim. I don't even know how to target. Do I drop the dazing ray on it?
Oh no, you just click on it, and then we all just assume that's what you are hitting.
So why is it not
Oh,
allowing me to?
it sounds like you were doing. Your Twix was using some kind of dazing ray to charm this creature.
Well, if we're doing it that way, I actually would have used the frost ray first to hit him, and then we'll daze him. What I'm unclear about using this NPC sheet is how to make the actual attack action on the guy.
Sure.
You just click the word that says like number 3 frost ray or number 2 fear ray. Like you'll see it highlight.
When I did that, that just popped that up into the chat.
That's
Right.
correct.
That's how Roll20 works. There, unless you have a bunch of crazy APIs, there's no dragging and dropping on NPCs.
Okay, so you want me to roll it, or do you roll it for yourself?
Oh, for the frost, I could just do a little trick like that, so it rolls it. But it looks like it has to see if it's dexterous enough to get out of its way. And it got out of the way of that ray, and then you were gonna try to, just trying to charm it.
You see another eye sort of like telescope over as the frost ray misses. It's like ugly eye begins to start to twist and kaleidoscope until it turns into a standard vortex. Hopes that
It seemed to have resisted that attempt to be charmed by your Twixy companion. Did it do anything else?
he floats 30 feet away.
Ah, yes. And then Merrick.
Oh, I remember I did what I always do. I just charged forward. He was a little bit far away, so I had to use some of those rogue skills a little bit closer. And then I used my rakish audacity to attempt to strike him down. Um, uh, Two swings with my scimitar. I believe I hit him both times, and I hit him kind of hard, and then I circled around behind him,
Ah,
almost daring him to charge after the rest of the party, so that I could hopefully uh, attract his attention, and that was the end of the turn.
ah, very well. Aaron,
Mounted astride Bernie, Aaron rode up and first drove over him. For 6 points of burning, and then we'll make sure that she doesn't have all of those smites clicked, and we'll attack with the ultimate weapon of the deep. Oh, and he happens to be smaller than Bernie.
yeah.
Oh my! Oh my! Well, as it is written, so it shall be. Uh, how much hit points does he have normally?
By a number, we would say around 170.
Well, then 85 points plus. We will give him a little bit of smitage. So that will be let's see, 142 points of damage.
And how did you quickly dispatch this deviant?
Oh, just through this thing's kind of squattish neck. The three prongs of wave went in, and his head came off and went the other direction. Say, "Be gone, you foul creature!"
And the creature was gone. Its companions pleaded for their lives not to be dispatched. Did you entertain this offer of mercy, or did you fell them just as quickly?
I do not see any reason to slay these creatures when they have not done they have not done us any harm, but they have learned the proper deference and respect.
Ah, yes, this is also true. And as you all traveled a bit more, as I'm told, you made your way towards these uh, singing, this trail of singing springs. Quietus, how well of a tracker were you during this time?
Well, the visions I've been experiencing has affected my memory somewhat, but I recall at the time it didn't seem too difficult, especially with Aaron pointing out a couple of things here and there. It was nice to be among friends again.
Ah, friends indeed. Friends who slaughter are great friends. But as I remember, as I believe I heard during this time, the weather was acting a little funky during this as well. But at this particular moment, nothing pressing happened, but as you all traveled, I was told the heat was actually getting to you all as you all try to toughen yourself as some kind as you used your constitution to save yourself from this exhaustion. How successful were you?
Con save.
Yes. It just like I figured these rules, this exhaustion was would fail lesser adventurers, but not you all. Again, you are all apex. But it was very humid at that time. And I was told through the smog and the glowing crystals, there was no natural sunlight in this area.
That is
But
correct. It was a dark shadowland that we traveled through.
yes. And I was told as you were all following the trail into a honeycomb structure of stone arches and glowing prisms, you found a collection of prismatic colored hot springs. You saw several elven figures drift over the springs, their vacant stares lit by passing, glimmering motes. And after this transfixed moment, you all quickly realize you've lost the trail, that there's corpses on the surface of this spring, and that these singing springs are deathly free of any song. But as you are all looking around, trying to find out where where the trail is gone,
Perhaps we could ask these elven creatures for directions.
yes, and as I was told that these elven creatures looked upon you as though you were a tasty treat, as they turned their gaze towards you, eyeing you like you are their next meal. They arrived, ready to attack. And as you see the corpses strewn about, you all get its distinct impression that it is the dinner bell has been rung and you are all the main course. As these creatures are moving in, And pointing this out, Micah, you as well as Aquinas, Captain Meepo, and Merrick, you all noticed as you were looking around that there are various these springs, these strange magical phenomena around. That they were very cleverly hidden, using its Feywild magics. But Micah, as it starts, unfortunately, as you start to go next to one of these springs, go ahead and show and tell me how you used your will to save against this strange effect.
I believe I have dealt with these type of unusual circumstances, and I just barely noticed it as I try to ignore it.
Ah, yes, it was not. It did. It had no effect on you. But how did you start about these undead, these poltergeists, these banshees, these all these manners of undead? How did you start to destroy them?
Mika, familiar with these, and one of his favorite foes, if he had one, will cast a spell at the banshees over here, and that spell would be Synaptic Static. I should be able to get the 5 here.
Ah, yes. Ah, yes.
Okay, I take 27 psychic if they are able, and they subtract d6 from their attack rolls and saves.
It looks like they all succumbed to these effects of your magic. Did you do anything else?
I repositioned to allow others to freely pass, shouting out that there seem to be some ghost like creatures north of us as well, and that will be my turn.
Ah, yes.
Oh, righthead. And I recalled as my companion Mika fired a ball of magical energy that engulfed the banshees. I followed up quickly with some arrow shot.
But as
Of
I
course,
understand, before that happened, these hot springs around that were around you all tried to test your wisdom, tried to sap it from you. Where did you toughen yourself up?
well, I recall
Yes.
looking at my companion Aaron, and just her or Merrick actually, his mere presence made my will feel steeled and resilient.
Ah, yes. And then go ahead, commence with the murdering or
And
the re-murdering.
remember, Aquinas, that you left one of the closer ones alone for Aaron.
Oh, but of course, I do recall that. Aaron had asked me that before, and I remember it specifically as I took aim at the ones in the back. 22 feel good?
Oh, felt very good.
Alrighty. The second shot will be on this guy here, just south of him. 14 does not feel good.
It
who
was
knows?
still able to hit these creatures.
Oh my. And then the third one at the third one below, a little further south. For a quick 22. Because these things are annoying and Quintus does not want to die yet again, he will surge action and fire upon all three. Same sequence, beginning at the top. Unleashing a quick volley of arrows, nearly blinding his companions with the speed and precision.
Ha. And more creatures were felled.
And at the time, I recall thinking to myself, I wonder what we will have for lunch, as I turned to my companions. And Quintus is done, sir.
And as I understand this poltergeist from this far corner was attempting to get close to you as much as possible. So I understand it just moved that much closer. Aaron!
All right. Well, Erin took Bernie as a controlled mount, flying over her companions, doing a drive-by on this gentleman that tried to get closer and let him do a attack of opportunity upon herself, but gave him 3 points of burning, and he was on fire. Bernie then dashed forward, and she looked at this one right here, and with her action said, "You will serve the Queen of the Depths."
Oh, which one? The one to the north of you or the one to the southeast?
The one to the south.
Uh,
This one serves Umberly. Do not attack it. And she will finish her turn. Just driving over that one. So it takes 6 points of burning. And we'll say you destroy this other one that has blasphemed against Umberly. End of turn.
and then moved in. It stayed right there. As I understand, it moved closer. The one that was that was under the control that you controlled.
It came over, and what did it have to do?
As I
It's
understand, it was trying to
corrupted
touch it.
touch.
Tried to touch it with a bit of corruption. However, it seemed unfazed by the attack.
Ooh, rough.
And then Merrick under gallows. What did you do? Ah, yes. If you could speak, we cannot hear you.
I have muted my. Merrick was muted. I apologize. I apologize. I saw there was an evil creature about to open its mouth, so I left the reach of these poltergeists and moved in a roguish like way over
Ah,
to this creature. When I swung with my scimitar of speed, I believe I hit it.
no, you did.
But I don't think it was down yet. So I believe I swung again.
Actually, let's see. I believe actually the first swing you were able to dispatch said creature.
You're right. You're right. I had stepped 10 more feet and swung at the poltergeist that was coming in our direction instead. And that
Yes.
was what I did.
In a very resounding blow.
And looked back to Aaron. You got that banshee under control?
Yes, she will serve Umberly.
Oh. All right then. And that was all I did that time.
And then, Minix, I do remember you were able to go. What did you do?
All these two guys didn't rush in on me yet,
Well, they were.
did they?
Well, let's just say yes, they did. They did rush on you. What did you do at this point?
Probably watching the actions of one of my allies. I would have noticed synaptic static.
Ah, yes, and it does appear that only one of them is remaining. The others were quickly dispatched.
Yeah, I'd probably have to rain down hell on the group of three in the back.
Oh no, this one is a friend of Umberly.
Draw a circle. That's not those three in the back.
Ah, yes.
So is it me, or are none of the spells draggable from Xanathar's?
Which spell were you trying to use?
Synaptic static.
Ah, Well, ideally, you could just, you should be able to take it from there, but anyways, what,
It's a DC 23 intelligence save.
and they were not enough to save against, your own synaptic static. What kind of damage was it?
8d6. How do I use this thing? Click on that one. Dice roller. No, that's not what I wanted you to do. What, advanced roll? And I put it in 8 times.
Without the little.
Yeah.
Like that.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm learning. How to adjust the 1d6 for the muddled thoughts that they all have, I am not sure.
Well, apparently they didn't really actually last under that damage, and they all just dissipated under that psychic onslaught.
Perish. That'll be all.
Ah, yes. Did you do any? Did you move away or anything?
I wouldn't have moved from. My turn was before. I would have obviously not been standing in a group with my friends in AOE position. Probably would have went straight north. But if they're there, I stay there. I don't flee. I take whatever's going to happen.
Ah. And then Birdie, did Birdie do anything special other than being controlled by you, Aaron?
No, he was a controlled mount.
Ah, yes. And then Captain Meepo.
Oh, Captain Meeple gets to do something. They're not all dead. Yay! Or oh no. Uh, okay. So that banshee is under Merrick's control, or it's under Aaron's control. So I probably shouldn't attack that one since Aaron wouldn't like that. So we'll attack this poltergeist here. Yeah, that's next to an ally. All right. Pew pew pew.
Ah, yes. And that one did not last, as that one quickly was dispatched.
Oh, good. Let's take out the other ones now. Okay. So target the other one here.
Ah, yes.
21 hit.
Yes. Actually, that other one dispatched that one as well.
Oh, and how is the one way up north looking?
Oh, not well, actually.
We'll see if we can finish it off, or if we finish it off.
Oh, yes, you did. And then for this moment, there was a moment of peace amongst you, but just when you think there is peace, there is not. As coming from the ground itself, more of these creatures seemingly arrived as this was told this was called a thought stinger, and then its companion, a hand tyrant, arose. Coming
Oh, that's not good.
coming towards you all. But Micah, 6 seconds have passed and new creatures. What did you do?
I remember looking at them. They do they also look like they are not of the living variety?
Well, you can obviously tell this one's got some pieces that should be alive but are not. But its companion, very much of the living.
All right. Well, the companion of the living was the one that I remember targeting with some eldritch love. All right. These are all at advantage. I have cast foresight on myself. 39 force, and we will. I don't know what it's going to do, so let's just give it some space and push it 40 feet back as well.
Ah, yes. Very good. Did you do anything else?
And I shifted to the east a bit and ended my turn.
And Aquinas.
Well, I recall seeing the bestial, ugly thing, as well as the head with the floating eyes, and I remembered I don't like floating heads with floating eyes. So my first shot was on that thing.
Ah, yes, a solid shot.
I will give him some planar warrior action with my bonus action. Additional whopping 6 damage. You know what? I'll give him the second shot as well. Oh, sorry, I don't know if 14 hits.
You know, you thought your arrow flew true, but it did not.
Quintus will kind of make his way over to, actually, closer to this direction, and he's done, sir.
Ah, yes. Minix, what did you do next?
I use my 6 seconds of speech to yell out to the party, kill or control.
Well, which one? The big one?
I think we just killed him and kept going on our trip.
All right, if you say kill, then I will sidestep 30 feet. And do you agree I can straight line lightning bolt through the two of them?
Of course.
I free action. Which one do I free action is the question. I free action take out my Staff of the Magi from underneath my cloak. That will be a DC 23 saving throw. I guess I didn't. I accidentally just clicked Dimension Door, though. 12d6. burn a bunch of charges off the staff. I might use the last couple seconds of speech to say, there can only be one true beholder, and that beholder is mine.
Ah. And then, as I remember, Aaron stood astride Bernie, observing all that is transpiring and nodding. And its companion, this banshee, straight up went in, as they call, Jack the Fool, with its very forceful attack. This corrupting, yes, of course it would try to, but of course not being very good at what it's doing. Hydra went shortly, or this thought spiker, whatever creature's strange name. As I understand, it made its way towards Merrick Gallows, seemingly for Merrick to be its next meal. But Merrick, how did you respond?
Oh, I saw this thing charging at me. And again, with my rakish audacity, it was no match. I remember I attacked it with a defensive flourish. And I think it was gave it a little bit of Timora's love. And then I simply swung again and brought my scimitar speed across one last time. And some would call it 67 points of damage. I just considered it chopping off thought stingers' heads one head at a time. And I moved around to get closer to my allies. And I ended my turn.
Very well. And then Captain Meepo.
There's a big Hydra there. I'm going to shoot it. I'm going to shoot it as soon as I find the tab with my character sheet. Ah, here it is. Pew, pew, pew.
Ooh, those pew pews definitely hit. But after the first actually shot on it, how did you vanquish this Hydra or Thought Spiker creature?
I shoot an arrow to the knee, and it's a really small arrow, but arrows to the knee really hurt, as certain retired adventurers will tell you.
Yes, I've heard of those false lawsuits, those frivolous claims.
I'm gonna shoot the beholder since that's not our friend.
Oh no! And then would as you hit it with the blow, and normally it should have fell a creature of that size. What it actually did is oh no, it did just die.
Oh, whew. You see, I've played this game before, arrow beats giant eyeball. Although math paper beats arrow or beats giant eyeball as well. Fire hurts both, but is beat by water. And at this point, Meeple starts running out of fingers.
Yes, but don't worry, Meepo, for there is always more. More arrows, more toes, more fingers.
Meepo is strangely comforted, but also even more disturbed by more toes.
Aha. More toes is an oppressive force to some, but for others, it is something else entirely. Ha ha ha. But
Free the toes!
but as we ponder this minute on what to do about these extra toes, my interns are ceaselessly calling for a break. I feel I should give them that. For, let's say, for the next 10 or so minutes. They deserve at least a water break. And we are back. We have just dispatched these pitiful poltergeists and other ghosts, although one was put under the control. Now, however, as I recall, as you were able, after the poltergeists were found and you defeated them, taking a moment, you were able to spot a couple of relatively new dead bodies that were around this area. They looked like they were deceased relatively recently. But however, there is the other issue of the trail that you once had is now gone. However, as I would tell you, all seem to try to investigate around you, see if there was anything amiss. Ah. And the banshee was healed. But yes, what did you all do after spending some time to investigate this area?
Can't remember who was investigating. Was it Merrick or was it Meepo?
Uh, People investigating his toes.
Right.
What type of corpses were these recently deceased?
Oh, well, they did look like uh, regular denizens of Chult. It looks like they died relatively recently, but the looks about them, it looks like they're like some kind of band of mercenaries.
Well, I remember suggesting that we just ask them what happened.
Ah, yeah, you have the ability to speak with the dead.
That is correct.
How macabre! I enjoy it. But yes, just as Micah was speaking to the dead, Merrick and Captain Meepo, you have found that your trail was hidden. Hidden using incredible magic, some kind of illusionary, some kind of terrain, seeming to, but you all were able to disbelieve such a minor parlor tricks, and you were able to find your trail on where you need to go. The Cinder Grove, as you were told, was the next area to check. But yes, Micah, you were speaking to the dead. What you remember being told? Oh, I'm sorry. You had specific questions?
I was going to ask, who did this, and stuff about party size and that type of thing.
They will tell you who did this to them. It was these spirits. They were left behind with their leader Mabeo the Adder. They were lagging behind, doing covering the rear of their mercenary company when they got set upon by these poltergeists and banshees. And that was the last thing. But they do tell you that their leader, their main contact, this lieutenant of this um, red wizard, goes by the name. They only knew them as Keva Bigel. Wielded a very dangerous sword capable of cleaving the heads off creatures with ease, and led a group of shock troops with this wizard.
I will share that with the rest of the party.
Ah, yes, but yes, their company leader, uh, Mabeo, it seemed that they seemed to have some honorific to this. Their leader is esteemed, although they do work for gold, as any member of the free market system should always listen to is whoever pays you. But apparently, this sword also has some code of honor. But that is the only thing they knew.
It is something to go on, as I recall.
Of course. Now, but with this hour, Aquinas, how well of a tracker were you to get back on the trail after?
Well, working side by side with Aaron, I always feel confident that we're going to find our way. But this time was a little more difficult than normal.
Ah, indeed it was. As I look here, you took a little bit more time.
Is this your favored terrain, perhaps?
Oh, why, yes.
Then wouldn't you have an additional +6 to that roll?
Making that 20.
Ah, there we go.
Because I believe your proficiency is doubled in situations where it is your favored terrain.
Yeah, if Kelly were here, she would be shame on me. She'd be mad. Are we still in Chult?
Yes, we are still, of course, in Chult. This is your favorite terrain. But also, I also want to add that while you were making your way, it started to rain during this time to reports. And this rain, unlike others, was this kind of it was almost like the steam shower. And as it stuck to your clothes, to your armor, it made traipsing through the jungle even harder, as it felt like your very constitution was being harried. So as you tried to move, you had this disadvantage as you tried to toughen through this forest.
Con saves.
Yes.
Ooh, could I use my game advantage? Wait, do we get inspiration anymore? I don't think so, do we?
No.
Yeah, I will just suck it with that 13.
Indeed, you shall.
Did you say disadvantage?
Yes.
All right, so that would be a straight roll for me. So, still 21. Good.
Ah, yes. And then, Minix. Minix. Oh, you were able to.
I think you got a 21.
Oh, okay.
Didn't see my roll.
Ah, there we go. I do see it very well.
All my saves should be at a +1, but I don't know how to code that.
I wouldn't even worry about that. Can always fix it later. But yes, unfortunately, Aquinas, this steaming hot bath, although normally very refreshing, was not refreshing for you. You felt exhausted. If I had to put like some denomination on it, I would say just 1.
Good. I remember feeling very tired that day.
And as the party's track, it was even more delicious. But you were thankfully able to make your way towards the Cinder Grove. The trail led you all into a forest of black smoke columns that wept streams of lava and black smoke, their height disappearing into the smog overhead. On close inspection, you made out a stony plant matter, winding vines, and rough bark-like texture on the surface of these columns. A petrified forest that hints at the jungle trees that they have grown here long ago. You all saw a clearing. It opened ahead, sporting a lake of lava made from thin rivulets that pour from nearby petrified trees. The largest tree released a font of lava into this pond, and the side of its trunk you could make out 3 humans that have been stuck to the column surface with black ooze. They twitched and coughed on occasion. They were alive, but they were unconscious. Oh, Becky the Banshee. Becky did make the way, although Becky did lag behind. But as you looked, you realized it was not alone, floating relatively high in the air. You saw these skulls that seemed to be floating around. As if some kind of sentries. And coming from
I'm gonna pull up my hood, sir, at the sight of these little goobers.
Oh, maybe I didn't mention. Minix generally is walking around completely invisible, at will invocation.
sounds good. But you're not alone, these rock worms also sprouted as you were all making your way in this grove. But yes, in this clearing, you do see these other humanoid, these scouts. These scouts dressed in a manner similar to the ones that were in the other springs that were dead. Ideally, if they are from the mercenary kind, this is maybe the rest of them. Or at least a good portion of them.
Should I go and inquire about these scouts and see if we can barter with these flaming skulls? Becky, perhaps it is best if you wait a little bit outside of this radius.
And I was told Becky nodded in approval.
You just gonna fly up there and ask him?
Yes. Perhaps if they take issue with me conversing with them, cover me. I believe the term was.
How are you playing this? You coming off like a good guy or a bad guy? You going with the thing?
Just speak with them. What's the worst that they could do to me?
We could just send that with the gazer, and the gazer speaks a whole bunch of random languages. Maybe not even have the party be seen.
Ahem. Pardon me, Mr. Flame, that is a skull.
And I was told the flame skull turned towards you and said, hello, what do you want, oh great apex adventurer? I'm trying a bit of acting.
Well, uh, we seek to put to question those that you have, you appear to be guarding there. And what are these creatures that we're about?
They will say, "Oh, Apex Adventurer, we are us and our friends Itzy and Bitesy. We want them to be consumed by our ooze and turned into something more preferable than living sacky flesh things that we burn."
Is there anything that we may barter for their lives?
Well, we could always, if you like these, you can give us some of the other um, fleshy sack things that we can stick to the tree.
Oh, actually, we there are a number of. Oh, damn it! Those were all incorporeal, weren't they?
Ah,
Well,
yes.
that's a big thing.
Oh, yes. We actually have a rather large body that we may interest you. What would nourish your trees? You said.
Well, and it will say, "Oh, great apex adventure! It would not so much as nourish our tree as give us more or friends that we can corrupt with our ooze."
So that's a no on the wanting the giant body with the multiple heads.
What is it? They will say, "Hold on, let me converse with the other skulls." Oh, great.
Put your heads together.
Yes, yes. Ah, ah. And they put their heads together. And then they came all. And they asked, "Is it alive?"
Not at the moment.
And they said, "Well, we could just burn the rest of you. Any of you that are still alive, we can latch you onto the tree. And then we can just have more friends that will be warped into more corrupt beings. Oh, apex adventurer."
Then I believe that there is no pleasing you.
And they will admit they are rather like the elites in other places. They are hard to please.
And Aaron will give the high sign.
You said the high sign.
To the team as we release the Fury.
Ah. Because if you were trying to offend them by using hands, they would have been very upset, I am sure. And with a word, they see you make a gesture, and being these skulls cannot use hands, grew great offense. And they wished to, and they said, "Oh, Apex Adventure, we must go into combat because you have offended me."
Yeah, that's what I remember.
See, the thing is that you wanted to send the result of this roll to the turn tracker, but no valid token was selected.
Yeah, you got to click on your token.
This can be easily resolved.
That's why it didn't get added last time, I would assume.
No, but it looks like everyone else is here in the order as it should. And then Merrick under gallows.
Oh, Merrick saw those four floating skulls in the air, and he charged out underneath of them. Seeing they were all up in the sky, he couldn't do anything to get their attention. But he actually ran underneath of them and then was shouting over, even towards that large creature and away from everybody else. Get me with those stupid fireballs. Come get me. And I was making hand gestures at them in a taunting way in an attempt to goad them to target me with the wrath of their fire while they're up in the sky. Would you like a check for that?
Of course, I'd like to see how convincing you were at being, as they say, gaining the aggro.
All right. Persuasion or intimidation?
Alright, let's go. I looked at the reports, you did have a forceful personality.
All right, then. Either was fine. I did try to make them want to hit me as much as possible by using my hands. And I believe I finished by giving them the double fingers.
Yes, they found that you were mocking their shortcomings. Yes, they did turn their ire upon you. And then what did Bernie do right afterwards?
Bernie will dodge. Well, Bernie will go up and down the line and then realize that he can do nothing to them. That sounds more like a Bernie thing.
Of course.
Why won't you burn?
But Aaron, astride Bernie's back, will look at this one and say, "You should have listened, and you are smaller than Bernie, thus I have advantage." And I strike down with Wave, which, of course, as a bonus action, I cast Holy Weapon. That definitely happened. And I gave it 42 hit points worth of piercing and radiant. And then I struck it again, as it did not go down, I think, from that first one.
Well, you notice that the wave itself, it seemed to have not been as effective as it should have.
And another 32.
Oh, actually,
25.
but yes. And after that, it surely crumpled.
Well, that one definitely did not get ahead in life. Are you sure you will not reconsider? End of turn.
And Minix.
Hmm. Minix with too many options. Minix will yell out to his comrades, "Control or combat!"
Hey, you do you, Drew. Do what you want, man.
Yeah, I don't think we're too worried about control at this point.
And we will kill them.
Yeah, have fun, man.
Yeah, I'm going to, I guess I'm going to just fireball the northeastern pack of the trio up there.
We're
The,
we're trying to save them.
the
Oh, we're trying
prisoners
to
we're
save
trying
them?
to save?
Yes, the reports, the humans that were lashed on to here, the trio. I mean, the reports could have been different. You could have incinerated them instead, but I mean, there's also a trio of these skulls that are made of fire.
Yeah, I pull I pull that spell. Let's see. I guess I'll just have to use another 5th level spell and just synaptic static that little group. As Minix has seen these before in the Dungeon of the Mad Mage and knows that I need to attempt to do some other types of damage. So I'm going to need to make DC 23 saves. Intelligence.
And their intellect was no match. Ah.
So, like everybody, Rob, you've definitely watched concussion blasts from exploding things. If anybody hasn't, imagine like the sonic boom of like Guile's foot. You know what I mean? When he Street Fighter uses his actions, and you see like a pulse of sort of air, just like, and the rattling of their minds just begins to explode in pain. You see a crack or two on their skull, the bleeding internal organ that they still may possess.
Ah, yes. If they could clutch their head using their hands, they would. But they cannot. Did the Minix do anything else?
Minix definitely probably moved, but I will drag myself.
Ah, yes. And rolling with pain, this one very angered at everything, but seeing that one that gave it rude hand gestures, it decided to try to lob a bowl of fire at the direction of Merrick.
I definitely stepped aside as I evaded that fireball and gave him more double fingers.
Ah. And then Micah, what did you do?
Looking down on what is happening, he has this. He decided that he would attack the closer flaming skull and see what damage he could do there.
After the first two blasts, the skull was no more as it fractured into many different pieces.
And then the third one would be moving down the line for 15 and another 28. And since he is floating 40 feet in the air, he can't move, and that would have ended his turn, if I recall.
Ah, yes. Coming towards you all, one of these rock worms as it moved much closer, looking at Micah as a meal, as well as Captain Meepo. How did Captain Meepo respond as that creature moved closer?
Meepo, Meepo is very angry uh, that these creatures are going to attack him just when Meepo found out his newfound discovery of like of toes. And he lost his counting of toes and decided to shoot the thing that stopped him from counting toes. Now, was the Remirez next to Mika at the time?
No, Mika's 40 feet in the air.
Oh, okay. So the Remirez didn't move next to an ally. Uh, were any enemies adjacent to any allies at this time?
No, actually.
Oh, then Meepo was extra sad because he couldn't use his pack tactics. So Meepo will fire at the Meepo fired at the Remirez normally. Did a 17 hit?
It did, just barely.
Ah. Meepo will have this thing drop whatever it's holding, but it's not holding anything, so he'll just roll d12. Add 8 more damage. Bonus action attack. And you know what? Meepo decided that since this thing is still alive after that, Meepo fired 3 more times to shoot 3 more arrows. Because what Meepo lacks in big weapons, he makes up for in Pew Pew.
Ah, very nicely done. Ooh.
Yeah. All right. Would you like me to add that up for you?
Oh no! That is already well done. It is very much from full health to hanging on. Very nicely done.
That's the end of Meepo's turn.
Quintus.
All right. As I gazed about, I recalled thinking to myself, it's good to have such competent companions. This one is still flying, right?
Yes.
Well, let us finish that one first. I recall thinking, those things are annoying. 21 to hit?
Yes. Solid hit. And it broke into many pieces.
Oh, that's right, my hood was up. So 30, definitely hit. Alright, then take aim at this guy to the south. Mind you, before I take the shot, I will jump in the air and then teleport 10 feet here. So I'm taking the shot midair. So I'm thinking, even with tremor sense, he doesn't know where I am because I'm off the surface of the ground and I've teleported.
Ah, very nice.
Then I will take a couple more steps, teleporting again another 10 feet, then taking my third shot at this guy. So like a little teleporting shadow that disappears and pops through, kind of like Nightcrawler in X2 in the very beginning.
Ah, yes.
And I am done, sir.
And as it said, the other rock worm did see an interesting sight. As it moved in, it did see Merrick there in its form and tried to bite, of course. Oh, unfortunate. But that's all it did. Twix.
Let's see. There are no more flame skulls.
Oh no.
Uh, Twix uses his action to swim into his fishbowl, oversized fishbowl, and gets and like that just is inside the haversack. He goes away.
Ah, okay.
He knows he will die. It is quite inefficient.
Ah, but as we start our turn, we're back to Merrick.
Merrick realized things were about to get hot. He could feel the heat of this creature, but he didn't care. It was his job to strike this down in Timora's name. So he swung with the scimitar, making a defensive flourish in case the creature tried to bite him again. And it's a pretty decent one. And then I took some fire, but I decided I was going to keep swinging, try to make this thing go away. And then bonus action, I swung that scimitar again. If you want to give me the other two. I used my reaction to absorb elements when I got hit with that fire damage. And then to goad it, I used my fancy footwork to kind of try to get it to follow me in this direction, away from my companions. And that was the end of my turn.
Ah, very, very nice. And then Bernie
Bernie was a
stoic.
controlled mount, but Aaron will take him down as a controlled mount again and do a drive-by and see what happens as Bernie drives over this one down here.
As this rock flower, the fire next to it didn't seem to do any effect at all.
That makes Bernie sad. And then Aaron will strike down, but this creature appears to be larger than Bernie, and that makes Aaron sad. But a 24 still strikes this creature, yes?
It does.
For a grand total of 43 points of radiant and piercing.
And how was this foul creature dispatched?
Well, I'm sure it. I took off its little, or I stabbed it in its little beady eye, but then I think a little bit of its body came back upon Aaron.
Ah.
As she used Bernie as a controlled mount again, making him dash back up to this one. Barely able to get back in range and will stab out again. But I will make a con save. I believe, unless he rolls amazing damage, that I still keep it's up. Yes. And second attack will be a 33. And I will bring down upon it a second level smite. Ooh, for a pretty abysmal damage of 39 points. And end of turn. As I take a little bit more damage.
Yes.
But I keep my concentration.
And then Minix.
Minix is going to slide stuff over some. While he is doing that, he'll be yelling at the top of his lungs and repeatedly saying, "You will agonize. You will agonize!" And you will proceed to shoot.
Ah, Meepo's agonizing already, and he's not even the one being targeted.
Ah, yes.
Oh,
Sonic
crap,
blows.
those are rolling at advantage, right?
That's what it does look like, yes.
What's the +4 next to it? I'm thrown off by what it's doing.
Ah.
You have bless checked.
Hell, that's not supposed to be there, is it? I checked when I opened it up. All right, let's try that again. Shoot 4 agonizing blasts at him. How many hits?
Well, it looks like all of them hit.
I'm gonna roll 4d20 to see if my elven accuracy hits them. Negative. What was that? Why didn't it drop the?
You got to click the agonizing blast name in the results column, and that'll do the damage for you.
Yeah, right above the show spell description, there's a link.
Oh, okay. Got it.
You do want to
Well,
click the one with the crit though.
there's there one with the crit.
Yeah, the one with the green.
Oh, there it is.
Because that'll roll the extra dive for the crit.
Ah, very well.
Yeah, that's a good crit there. 13.
That'll be my turn, sir.
Plus your charisma bonus, right? Since you're agonizing.
Ah, you know what? The 2, the 8 was with bonus.
I coded it to add correctly.
Oh, Daniel rolled
Yeah,
the
yeah.
7 plus 1.
You did, Drew. I had just seen that too, or the low number, and hadn't realized you'd roll a 2.
Gotcha. But I coded it correctly, right? Because I'm half understanding what I'm seeing right now, but not at the same time.
Yep, you're good.
So it doesn't show the addition right there. It just adds it for you. So the 16s were max D10s plus 6.
Yep.
Got it. Okay. All right.
Yeah, and if you hover over, you can see what happened.
Okay. The black box.
Ah, but after such blows, it was apparently very. It's on its last legs, but it was still very much alive. Did Minix do anything else?
No, that's all. That's this turn.
And then Micah.
I remember him speeding this creature to the afterlife.
Ah, yes. And how did you speed this creature into the afterlife?
We just pushed it away as it fell over and died. Poor creature, but he should have known better than to mess with our party.
Indeed, if it could think, it would have rued the day that it would ever cross paths with you all. As it is quiet once again, except for the calls of mercy and help from these Panliella that are tied up or stuck from the ooze.
Merrick went over there to try to free them.
Meeple will also, or Captain Meeple remembers also recklessly running towards trying to free them.
Ah. But thankfully, you all are able, as you all work together, able to free these scouts. And they will tell you from these reports, they will thank you for freeing them. They are part of a party. They were a mercenary company hired by these Thayans to investigate this area when they got separated from their leader, Mbeo, as well as other members. Not sure what happened to them.
Well, The jungles of Chult are quite treacherous.
The timetable on how long?
Mm, But they thank you, but they stop for a moment. They say, well, it looks like here it says they were unsure of what to do. They seemed very thankful that you rescued them, but it looks like they are prepared to go their separate ways. As they said, thanks, I will get you back at Port Nyanzaru.
I remember asking if there was anything they could tell us that would help us if we run into their boss.
As they looked at each other, they said, they seemed hesitant to divulge such information. Merrick, I believe that called for, I think it was you or someone else. They used their, as they call their silver tongue, to try to convince them of your intent.
I remember that clearly. I laid out all the reasons, and you know, it was tough.
Ah, yes. And and yes, from this report I got here, it said that it'd probably definitely be better if they accompanied you,
Oh,
went further in to see their leader Mbeo.
I will suggest they come with us as far as their leader, and then perhaps go our separate ways after that. We have no interest in their company, but we don't want any interference on our way to the Thayans.
Ah, of course. And indeed, as you all make your way towards with new company in tow with these others. They told you their names. I think it was Zafu, one was Willet, the other was Oro. Not sure. I wonder if after they left your company, they all died horrible deaths. That is Chult. It is truly a paradise for those who desire nothing but liberty.
It's a trap.
And indeed, there is always a traps, dear Captain Meepo. There is always a trap everywhere, even when you try to go to sleep. Something, somewhere, would love to get the drop on you for reasons I'm not sure.
Eep.
Well,
Eep indeed. But yes, as you all were able to make your way towards this campment, as as you all were making your way, this sticky rain came again, raining on you all with it its its very strength of this rain, the sauna rain, sapping your constitution, making it so much harder, such a disadvantage to try to go forward without getting more exhausted.
I do remember that Timora was with us that day.
Oh, forgot about the +6, so 26.
Yes, it seemed like it even affect those even such as Aaron. You feel like your strength was getting sapped. You came away exhausted.
Oh no. As I frantically check to see if greater restoration is on my spell list. It is not.
Do you have a scroll?
I do.
Are you willing to risk it?
I am.
Then Merrick will try to cast it for you.
Did we have a guidance in the party?
Yes, you do. Death is in your corner.
I think Timora is with us today. And just barely.
Huzzah!
Where'd you get that scroll? They're a lot harder to buy these days.
Oh, I found this scroll when I returned some of these weapons a long time
Ah,
ago.
Ah, and as though you all came back. However, as you came, you were definitely not alone. But thankfully, with the companions that you uh, were able to take under your wing as you made your way, they came. Those scouts ran ahead just enough time for you all to, as they seem to have disrupted a planned trap for you all.
ah.
As you were drawing closer to this tomb, you were led on a trail, led to a series of ravines. A thin layer of ash cushioned your footfalls if you sifted and searched for signs of passing from the expedition. And just as you became concerned that you may have lost them in these winding passages, ahead you were able to make out a campsite. A large tent had been erected at the turn, surrounded by 4 smaller ones in the ravine. However, as you made through, some of you, like even Lord Strahd, consenting war, would have been able to quickly inform you all that you were heading into an ambush. But thankfully, your new companions were able to call off this ambush and coming walking towards you, looking like their leader of sorts. This still, even though it is really hot outside, was able to, he made it work. He greeted you all and said, "I am Mbeo the Adder. I understand. You have returned some of my scouts, for you has saved me quite uh, some gold coins that I would have had to use to hire and train these more individuals. You have bought yourself an audience." And he says, "Why should we not uh, although we will not immediately come away to attack you, they do ask, why are you here? For just to let you know, we are under contract obligations. Should always be honored for the free market principles." Oh, sorry, I got too much into character. No, they just simply wanted to. Looked at the notes here. They simply said, you know what? Thank you for saving us, but we are still under contract from the Thayans.
I think we may have asked him what exactly was your contract.
It says, "Oh, our contract. We were to provide protection on their way towards as they completed their main thing. They said that they would get paid at the end quite a tidy sum and essentially fend off um, any threats, foreign and domestic." But it says, "But you have you've brought some of our scouts, so they do not feel at this point they don't have an immediate reason to run you through. But as I understand, some of you were trying to be insightful into this, trying to read, as they say, read the room." Uh, uh, yes. All of you, putting your heads together, you find that although you have the sense that while they are under contract, that they're looking for maybe some kind of loophole so that they may still be able to honor their contract, but also not working too as I would. If they were mercenaries hired by myself, I would spit at their disloyalty. But in this case, they were looking to help you without violating their contract.
And what were the terms of said contract? Pray tell.
And they said, as he will lay out, is that we are just supposed to protect, we're supposed to get the Thayans to the tomb and protect them to the best of their ability against everything that would come at them.
Well, we are just there to have a simple conversation.
Ah. So you come not in opposition, but some kind of negotiation.
Ah, yes, of course. We will. We must just have a conversation.
Ah,
That it may end up in a minor disagreement, but we wouldn't be the first ones to throw a punch.
yes. But say, if you could at least sample us some of this argument, so we should know, like, how persuasive a demonstration of how persuasive you all would be in this negotiation.
Minnick steps forward and goes, "What would you like to see me do?" And I go into my bag and take out a variety of different like wardrobes. I ask him what he feels would be most appropriate for me to wear before I even begin to persuade. And I show him like a robe of scintillating colors. I have a mind flayer costume, like a skin of a mind flayer that I sometimes put on my body. I could be as persuasive, as intimidating, or as deceptive as required.
Well,
That mind flayer costume might be interesting.
I generally put that one on when it's time to terrify people. I can go into their minds and make them think that I am a flayer. I can speak to them in all sorts of weird languages. I can bust out my baby beholder also.
as he looks, as they seem to be intrigued by this Flaya costume. Um, Again, sure, a demonstration how you would approach these negotiations in such a manner. It, it is almost intriguing to see as they all sort of line up closer.
Aaron will assist, not that Minix needed assistance since he already has advantage on everything.
Yeah, I do have advantage on everything because I'm foresighted, but the Mind Flayer costume, on deception checks to impersonate a Mind Flayer, such checks are made with advantage if the costume is viewed in poor lighting or from more than 15 feet away. Character who wears the mask has disadvantage on perception checks. It doesn't matter, I rolled on like -100 anyway. And a character who wears the robe and cowl has disadvantage on stealth checks because you are walking around like a mind flayer. I wonder why I didn't get that roll, and it's because I threw it on my own managed characters on Fantasy Ground.
Uh, they say, oh, that's if I didn't know, I would assume that you'd be a mind flayer. That's you even have they will say you even have the part of oozing the mucus. They're not sure how you're able to do it, but that's very convincing.
I probably have some silly illusionary magic that I can use to do that. Just to mess with them, I speak in deep speech.
And they say, well, that it seems like since you're all approaching as the creature, there we will of course be an earshot away in case any danger arose. But yes, just go. They will tell you to go straight ahead. And as the scouts will say, they will stay here and help them pack up and get ready to go. But thank you for rescuing them.
Happy to have helped.
Yes. To help. In help you shall. As as the direction they have given you doesn't even take another hour. Actually takes only half an hour. You are taken to they direct you toward a ravine that widens to reveal the ruins of a squat stone pyramid. See large cracks run through the structure, letting in rivulets of lava that pool in the depression at the center of the room. The front wall was completely crumbled away, exposing a large chamber within, supported by 4 pillars. There are dragon skeletons are mounted on these pillars, their bones and jaws flexing slowly. As you see, a blackened rib cage of a massive creature is just visible above the surface of this lava pool. Clinging to it is a shifting entity, a pit of darkness that hangs in the air, exuding pale green wisps that look like stretched souls of the damned. as you see a man in resplendent red robe stands near the pool, a tattooed bald pat dripping with sweat as he focused on his ritual. The wisps of energy coming off the menacing darkness flow into something the man clutches against his chest. A half circle of towering skeletons stands guard, while a fell figure in blackened armor glances between the ritual and the smoggy landscape from the land they came. And as you all arrive at this oh, so you're moving here as you see these creatures coming in this area is almost like a dim light from the jungle canopy. As you see the bold figure concentrating here, the one in fell armor a distance away, these creatures before you. And as you all approach, the fell figure calls out to you and says, "Where submit yourselves, or I will collect your heads as rewards."
Okay.
Well then,
Not this time, Meepo.
Oh, but he asked nicely. He said, "Submit yourselves before attacking us."
says, "Oh no, go, come closer, if you want to grovel," the figure would say.
Oh, Meepo's good at groveling. Some might say Meepo's an expert at groveling.
And then in the back corner, you hear someone yell, "I am concentrating on the ritual. Shots!" It begs you all for silence as he's trying to draw the horrible necrotic energy of the soulmonger. And he just needs
Meepo is in the midst of Meepo's in the midst of groveling, and sadly he isn't very good at quiet groveling. I, Meepo, surrender myself. I'm so sorry.
And as though the wizard in the back looks like he's about to charge, a very vicious magic to silence the creature there. Although I will say there's a kinship, he does find your groveling very stimulating. However, as the arcane energies come through, you do see Captain Meepo as from you moving forward. He was ready to draw his sword to collect a head.
Uh-oh. But I surrendered.
Oh, but yes, but unfortunately, when you were groveling, it was too loud, and tried the patience of this patience of the wizard for far too much, and the energy meant it wanted your head.
Oh, Meepo's gonna regret this.
But it was very effective groveling. Actually, how
Thank
good
you.
were you? Like, what if you would scale your performance on this groveling?
Meepo would probably give it about a 5.5 out of 10. Going through the desert, it kind of makes the throat a bit parched for the proper grovel. So rather than, "Oh, please help us," it's more like, "Oh, please help us," which actually might make it a little bit more pitiful. So maybe a 7.
Aaron, how would you rate the groveling?
Uh, I've seen Meepo do better groveling. It's more of a it was more of a half-hearted effort. He was only focusing the grovel at one individual. I think Meepo excels at the group grovel, and that's what I was really expecting at this point.
Forgive Meepo for not groveling before more people. Meepo will do better next time.
Ah, yes. And what were the rest? And during the start of combat, were the rest of you ready to engage?
Oh, we certainly were. Probably would have moved up a little bit if that's all right. But when Meepo went forward, um,
Of course.
but it, but not too far, just a little bit.
And of course, Merrick, incredibly fleet of foot, you were first.
Oh, I was first. For some reason, I thought Meepo was first, but then I realized numbers. Yes. So I did charge forward, seeing Meepo groveling there, and that evil-looking creature in front of him. Uh, I looked this creature in the hips, and then remembered to look up, and I swore a vow of enmity upon it, and then I tried to strike it down. So with advantage, I did not crit the first time. Oh, it said to automatic. I'm not sure how that happened. I will sneak attack. No, I can't sneak attack from there. I had advantage. Sorry. Sneak attack and a bardic flourish on the first, plus a divine smite at second level. And I assume this is undead.
He was very much undead.
All right. The first of the d8s is my flourish, and then the rest was radiant. So that was 59 points of damage on the first swing. And then I came back with a second attack. And this time I decided it was going to be a fourth level smite. As I swung the scimitar back across, it was a crit. And it was a good time for a fourth level smite. And that was. My mind has stopped working. About 85 points of damage. And again, I looked up. Come get me. And then it was me post turn.
Ah, okay. Yes. Before everything would go, there was some kind of technical issue. Ah, yes, there we go. And then Captain Meepo as the groveling, but your companion, two solid divine blows on this fell creature. Looks like it nearly rocked it to its core. What did you do?
Hey, interrupting groveling is a violation of Ordinance 35, Section C of the Waterdeep Code. I'm gonna have to punish you for that. And Meepo targeted Kava Vigil with his sharpshooting crossbow and fired off shots. Pew, pew, pew.
Solid blows.
Does Kava have a weapon in their hand?
Yes, a very nasty looking scimitar.
Make a strength save or they drop it. They drop their scimitar.
Ooh.
And so 24 damage for the first hit. Oh, crit. Does Kava have anything else in their hands? Well, they're going to try and drop it.
Of course, I believe it had a shield.
I don't think you can really drop a shield, unfortunately.
Oh. Well, if they're able to drop their shield, they drop the shield.
Oh, but what was the total damage from the crit?
What? The total damage? So far, Meepo had dealt.
Oh, it looks like
22.
you just Ah.
62. So far, Meepo has dealt 90 damage. Are they still up?
Oh no, actually, after the second shot to critically, how did you finish off Kava?
So Meepo shot the first hand to drop the weapon and explode the hand. Meepo shot the second hand to drop the weapon and explode that hand. And then Meepo ran out of hands. Kind of like when Meepo runs out of fingers, except you can count less things if you just use hands. And then Meepo's going to action surge and fire at the wizard behind because Meepo's still firing.
Ah. And was your third shot then would have been used on this wizard as well?
Yeah. Yes. So that third shot dealt 24 damage, and the bonus action shot, I'm going to precise shot that one. Does a 21 hit?
It does hit.
For 21 damage? And you know what? Meepo's gonna action surge because he's really mad, really mad that they would violate Waterdeep code and interrupt his groveling. Meepo is gonna precise shot that one. Ooh, but 15, I'm guessing, misses.
15 would be a shield.
Oh. This one will precise shot as we burn through all those things. I think this is my last one. 25 hit.
Oh, yes.
And my final shot, Meeple's final shot, misses.
But
And
Timora was with you that day.
Oh. How does that work?
Timora's luck is bountiful, and you may roll again.
Oh. Should I just take the 21 or just roll again?
You can take 21. You can.
Meepo takes the 21. Does that hit with the shield?
Oh, yes, it does hit.
Pew. For 21 more damage. Can I add spice to that? No, I cannot. End turn.
Oh, and it looks like, although it was not long for this world, it did one thing though. It casted a swarm on everything in this area.
Uh-oh.
A spell.
Yes, it is a spell.
That dude in the middle with the gold ring.
Well, yes, the individual that's all the way.
Oh, Aaron's within 30 feet. Good.
Right, the white guy, white looking thing, the gold ring around it that just came next to the gazer and the phoenix.
Uh, it was in fact from the farther end.
Oh, never mind.
So he probably missed Meepo and Merrick.
Well, unless they're hitting everything, if Sem hits everything, he'll hit Meepo.
As we get down to what the measurements, like how much exactly?
Hmm. 40-foot radius. Those things should be bigger. There we go. One sec. That looks like only 25. It should be bigger. 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 Okay, that's pretty close.
Since he has
Slightly too
two,
big.
he could just get one of them if he used two circles. One getting this bit, and then another one kind of coming over from there. Farewell, sweet Banshee.
Oh no, there was no rest. I don't remember you guys taking the time to rest. You were, in fact, apex adventurers. There was seemingly no time for rests, but you all seem to muddle through that for this adventure so far, relatively unscathed.
The Banshee saved. Holy crap.
But yes, after it dealt this supreme fire of punishment, and even to its allies, because at this point it did not. Penalizon didn't have much left to go on, anyways. But one that did save, actually. But that was its turn. Mika.
I remember that pissing off Mika a lot. Casting a spell. At that spellcaster there, whatever his name is, Sem Nahar.
Of course, as I. Oh, as you did a finger of death. And normally, something that could happen, but you see the tattoos of take and absorb the spell. Oh no, it can't. Because it already used. Oh no, it had its turn, so it will absorb that spell because it just went. Haha. It said checkmate.
My oh my. We will go back where we started and ponder what will happen next. Because I forget what happened to us after that in that letter.
Ah. And then Minix.
Alrighty. Next is going to. What? I guess I'm just going to shoot a lightning bolt at him just because I'll cast 7 level from the Second Magi. DC 23 Dexterity saving throw. 12d6 lightning damage.
It said you called on a bolt of lightning.
I pull the staff out of my cloak. Aim directly at him. Lightning ruptures out in a straight bolt. Hopefully making a hole in his chest.
Oh, did you do any
And,
movement before you did that?
No, but I ran directly towards him. Stop right in front of him. I bent that to hit both of them if I ran up and did it right in front of his face. Shift the angle on that thing.
I think I remember correctly that you were able to.
Alright, that works. And I need to make dex saves. Couldn't I just throw the fireball? Or is that going to do damage also?
Go ahead and say that again.
Like, for example, moving forward, if instead of I don't have lightning bolt like queued up in the sheet, if I were to use Fireball, would it do all of them in the same process? Or would it just drop the DC 23 decks to start? And I could just, you know what I mean, adjust the damage that way.
Not Daniel's got it, man. You just got to tell him what your save DC is.
Yeah,
Kind of think
23.
of kind of think of this more of like Roll20 is really just it really is more of a virtual tabletop. There's no automation.
I feel like what it comes down to is I feel bad having him do all this work that I'm trying to figure out how do I not make you do this work. So you both just told me he's just got to do the work, and I just have to verbally just explain it.
Yeah.
So there's a whole lot of back ends that you got to deal with as a DM on this.
But it's not too bad. After a while, I get used to it.
Oh no, I'm sure. I'm just saying, like, Rob, have you DM'd on Roll20?
Negative.
I just wonder if it feels like you're doing more stuff than.
It feels like you're running a live game. So yeah, you are running everybody's saves and calculating the damage to your NPCs.
Yeah, Roll20 doesn't do much aside from the basic math to remove some of the cognitive load off the DM, unlike Fantasy
Cheers to you, sir.
But how do you finally dispatch of this wretched wizard? How is it vanquished?
So as the lightning bolt shoots out, instead of going the 90 past him, like I make sure that the rest of the energy like absorbs in his chest and like explodes him, much like we would see the cheesy 70s 80s horror movie zombie explosions.
Ah, yes, do love a bit of gore. Very nicely done. And then,
Matter splashing all over.
very good. And then what does Twix do?
Yeah, Twix will roll. Twix will get him there for 2 and 4. Which ones are those? I guess we'll have to go in order of. I guess we'll go telekinetic ray first. It's a DC 12 strength saving throw. And we'll do the fear 1 second.
But this undead creature does not know fear, nor can it be manipulated by such a gazer.
Yeah, he became pretty much ineffective at tier 2 in terms of combat stuff. But it's still fun. That'll be the end of Twix's turn.
Very good. And then Aaron, astride Bernie.
Aaron looking much worse for the wear. We'll take Bernie as a controlled mount and first do a drive-by for 7 points of burning. We'll then, as a bonus action,
Oh, actually,
cast.
sorry, it actually had a reaction that it forgot to do earlier. As it moved into its reach, you and Bernie used its deadly reach. It tried to reach up and tried to claw at you. Or, I guess in this case, try to claw at Bernie, unless it's something that said it would attack you instead.
I will force it to attack me, which misses.
But yes, go ahead. It does burninate a little bit.
So it is on fire. Aaron, being that it's been more than an hour since the Flame Skull fight, will again cast Holy Weapon upon the ultimate weapon of the sea, and then will strike down with great vengeance upon this foul creature that would touch Umberlee's Herald. 33.
Yes.
and I will offer it a 4th level smite that I believe this counts as undead
Oh, yes, it does.
for a miserable 66 points of damage.
And how is this creature finally dispatched?
I will use wave to basically punch holes in each of the claws and then just twist in a very acrobatic manner as the claws detach themselves.
Ah. And at that sound, that satisfying sound of crunch, your enemies laid low. Finally, within your grasp, what you were meant to grab, the opal pendant, another collection, and as well as you find various scrolls, some to dominate monsters, and even that one who had that very fine weapon had a potion that gave you speed and alacrity. And you are since you have managed not only to defeat everything here, take the pen with you, the mercenaries that you want to your side were more than happy to provide you an escort back to Port Nyanzaru, as they commented that you guys do have a fond for these aggressive negotiations. And when you return, you are given a delivered to you a bountiful award of over 30,000 gold pieces. And as we divide it up, and your others, how the rest of you divide your spoils of war, we will end this and we'll come back at another time and see your other adventures. I think you go into the sea shortly afterwards. But again, Dr. Gorza with these Apex adventurers, we will continue.